Greetings, YouTube. This is the Garage Autonomous, but welcome to an episode of Everyday Revolution. Hope everyone can hear me. And I have a few guests that I'm expecting tonight. So hopefully they got the links. That would be Angry Bastards and Vegan Anarchist. I see Curious is in the chat. I hope she got the link. That way she can join in. If the link is no good, everyone, just go ahead and let me know. I already have my email up, so open, so I can be able to send you another link if that's necessary. All right. So while I'm waiting on people, I have a lot of good things to talk about by starting off tonight's topic, actually. So hold on here. Just want to make sure. So the only problem is that you never know if your vocals are doing good, but I guess they are. All right, so let me just get this thing started. First, I want to give a huge shout out to Curious, and I know she's in the chat room. And so we're going to go ahead and get this started. Matter of fact, while I'm here, I'm going to wrench her. Give her a wrench. So, all right. So as you can tell by today's topic, it's about intersectionality is really the word I should have put, / ID politics versus traditional left politics. Now, this all sounds kind of complicated, but really this is pretty old shit to me. Before all these fancy terms and words like intersectionality and identity politics and things of that nature, when I was, a younger activist, both in the Marxist-Leninist vanguard groups that I used to be in. Then, of course, there was the grassroots organizing work that I was doing in the Black community, and then, of course, there were the anarchist circles that I would later come into. We were using terms like internationalism. We were using terms such as solidarity work. So those concepts were not that different from when we talk about intersectionality and ID politics. I think that has a lot to do with the academic radicals, sort of popularizing these words and these concepts more, whereas the older traditional left still use those. But those things are not alien to the circles that I was in, that I was a part of back in those days. Now, hopefully tonight's guest will come in, as I said before, and we're going to discuss or possibly even debate and explore the so-called dichotomy intersectionalism versus the left. Now, when I say the left, this means all political tendencies on the left political spectrum, ranging from liberals to the Marxist-Leninists to the anti-authoritarian left and the anarchists. So I want to make clear that even among these tendencies, I'm fully aware that there are those who do not oppose the concept of intersectionalism, and more so, that they seek to integrate the theory, overall politics, and try to apply it to their activism. Also, there are those who might identify as people of color, LGBT, and queer, who wish to link up with others to form a united mass movement. So those who are labeled as identity politic types or intersectionalists or what have you are not always looking to fight oppression from their respective silos, even though there are those who come from that particular tendency. They definitely seem to be content with that, what we like to call sectarianism. Now, what seems to be fueling this ongoing fight for the past, I'd say, almost 10 years now, of late, uh, is this, it's from my perspective, it's the people who see LGBT folks, women, people of color, the disabled as mounting enemies who are seeking to demonize, well, the white male. White people in general and males in particular, simply pointing out who feel that simply pointing out the privileged and historical facts that have given certain privileges to them is not an act of demonizing people. They just gotta fucking understand that or not. Now, I can recall that even before the fancy terms, and I've said this before, um, you know, this fight was going on back then, but not as it seems to be as intense right now. So that's pretty much the long and short of it. I think that these debates have become a little bit more uh, divisive, but at the same time, I think they're needed. I think. Oh, okay. I thought that was somebody else. I think that we need to hash these things out. We need to. Okay. All right, Angry Bastards. I see. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna send you the direct. I'm gonna give you another link to you directly to YouTube. Okay. Just give me a second. Yeah, I'm starting to believe that these links are are getting broken no matter how many. I thought that if I just give it to you about a good uh 2 or 3 hours before the show, that it would still be good. Because I used to send links out to people 3 and 4 days in advance and they would be bad. So I just sent you a link. Okay. Anyway, so like I was saying, back in the old circles that I used to have, we understood that if a revolutionary class, uh, that if uh, we understood that if revolutionary class politics didn't begin to look at the diverse faces and the fact that it wasn't just straight and just male, then there would be no growing of a mass movement to destroy capitalism and overthrow the ruling class, and then later, of course, to make a new society. All right, so let me see here if you know what, and curious, I'm going to go ahead and send you a new link as well. I don't think that that link is any good anymore, the one I sent you before. All right, curious, I just sent you a new link. So hopefully that will work. Hey, Elm City, what's going on? All right. So, um, hopefully, we'll be getting everything underway here soon because, unfortunately, I really do have to sign off in 46 minutes. Just the schedule that I got to keep tonight. If case people have been looking for new videos from Garage Autonomous channel, you will be getting a new video from me. Unfortunately, it's not going to be able to happen until the later part of this coming week because, like I said in my last video, things have gotten pretty busy at my regular job. And okay, that's cool, M City, of course. I mean, but anyway, like I said, things have been getting a little busy at my job, and then I got hit with a really big project that really needed to take my attention. And since the only time I'm able to really work on videos or anything like that is when I get home, but because everything else is getting pushed further and further, it's like I only have time to get home, get the normal stuff that I have to do, functioning things that I have to do here, and then I just don't have any time. But when things get loosened up a little bit during my daytime schedule, then I'll be able to, I'll be ready to have some new content on the channel, on the Garage Autonomous channel. So just hold tight. But I definitely wanted to commit to getting this show going tonight because this is the first episode on this channel. Like, in case anyone was ever interested, with this particular channel, Curious and I had started working on it when we were doing Food for Thought. Now, Curious was the one who actually threw out the idea that was a little too narrow in its scope because it was just dealing with, it seemed that it was just dealing with Black politics, that it was okay that we were putting forth this progressive Black face on, but we were still dealing with politics that kind of touches everyone else. And that, having guests on and people are like that of different other backgrounds would be good to open it up more. And I agreed with her, but honestly, I didn't think that I would ever be able to fit in a schedule of doing 2 different live chat channels, then Garage Autonomist. It just, one of those things had to give. So I think that we both agreed to go ahead and kill Food for Thought, and then we would just start off with this particular format. I think that this will work out more. I mean, I think the last time with Food for Thought, I think in its first week, we still only had like 4 subscribers. And with this channel, since we started it, we had like 14, we have 14, now 15. Matter of fact, we just gained a subscriber just about 5 hours ago. So it's interesting. And this one, I'm going to try to do whatever I can to grow the channel, probably use the usual conventional ways that people do. So, we'll be creating a Facebook page for it. We'll be just really promoting it because we want to open this thing out to a diverse panel where we could discuss, but obviously discuss more revolutionary type politics. Let me see. Is this just politics discussions? Way out of my league, I think. No, it's not out of your league, Elm City. It won't be. The only thing that we're talking about here tonight, the particular topic is what, and it's been a debate as of late where people who claim to be traditional leftists or traditional liberals or traditional Marxists have been raising the question of people of color or other people, or other marginalized groups, in saying that they're holding back, say, the revolutionary or political trajectory, and they're being divisive because we keep thinking about or talking about issues that affect people of color, and that we're calling out other people's privilege and so on and so forth, which I think is of course ridiculous, because we need to all of those things in order to grow and move on and to overthrow our enemies and to change society. So that's all we're talking about. That's what tonight's discussion is about. Now, hopefully, Angry Bastards got that link. And I'm also hoping that Curious got the link as well. You know what? Oh, shoot. My phone is going off. I got to grab this, you guys. Just give me 1 second. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that, everyone. I had to grab that phone call.
Oh, can you hear me?
Oh, hey. Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. I was kind of wondering if no one could hear me. So how are you doing?
I'm good.
Good, good.
You said that this debate went on for 10 years. Because I recall this schism only started around really late 2011.
Well, I mean, I feel like the politics have been going on even longer than that. It depends on what circles you're talking about, things like that. But to me, I think that as soon as how would I put this? I'd say that for me anyway. I was part of a online group called Anarchist People of Color. Now, there was definitely a huge fight that took place amongst the women in that group versus the men, the ones who are calling out like sexist, like people talking shit, saying sexist things. So then one of the guys on the list on the group basically began to say, this is bullshit that this, this intersectionalism, again, that's the first time I ever even heard the word. And this was more like around 2004 or so. And so he said, this intersectionalism bullshit is now creeping into our circles. It's already, been happening in the amongst the anarchists in general.
And so, hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, hello?
Yes. I'm sorry about that. I apologize for being
what's up?
late.
I see. Okay, Curious is here, Boo.
Yes.
Okay, so like I was saying, it was 2004, and when all this happened.
Hold on for a second.
All right. So anyway, like I was saying, it was around 2004 when I heard this guy say that he's seeing it creeping up into the general anarchist circles, i.e., white predominant circles that he was coming out of. And so when he said that, I was like, this is interesting. And so I started like doing a little bit of research, and I was finding out that it was, if people weren't calling out racism, in certain anarchist circles or groups or collectives, then they were dealing with the internalized sexism. If they weren't dealing with the internalized sexism, they were dealing with ableism, like all the different things that were happening. So it's interesting that you said that you started seeing this happen. You said the last, what'd you say, 4 years? Is that what you said?
2011 started like from 2011
okay.
ended around like fall, October to 2011.
Okay. Interesting. Now, do you think that started like in terms of what you started seeing? do you believe that that was happening, say, in the face of during the Occupy movement?
No, because I was actually at Occupy for months.
Okay. Okay.
I'm not aware. I was mainly hanging out with the Zeitgeist movement at the time. So and pretty much everyone hated the Zeitgeist movement. I was only around them to like make fun of them because like, at the time I was around the Zeitgeisters just to get the intake of what they were going on about.
Yeah, I only heard about the Zeitgeist. I never really got a chance to explore that and find out what they were really all about. Now, were you in New York during Occupy, or you were in your own local?
No, I was in New York.
Okay. Okay. All right. So, hello, Curious. How you doing?
Hola, buenos dias, Senor Garage.
Hi.
Hi. I'm well,
So,
thank you. And how are you guys?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
I was speaking to Angry.
Just call me AB.
AB, okay, I can understand why you wouldn't want me to just call you Angry, sorry. I was speaking to you thinking that you were Garage in the Hangouts earlier, the old link. And I was like, why isn't Garage writing me back?
So, I do think that
Yes.
but anyway, for me, now if I wanted to go back, like say 1989 or the early 90s, maybe there was some of this, as you put it, schism or this conflict happening here and there. I know that back in those days, I was around a Marxist-Leninist vanguard party, and there was no real conflict about how shall I put this? Integrating or understanding the connectivity between, like, say, the Black struggle and feminism and all of that, at the same time pushing forth revolutionary class struggle. You know what I'm saying? Like on that platform. Like there didn't seem to be a problem with that.
My major problem with the intersectionality theory is that it is used in its own mirrored coin opposite with the alt-right. They have their own theory. It is exactly the same of intersectionality, but into their own mindset.
It can be, yes. It depends. I really think it depends on the individual, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, but the people in the alt-right who I argue with they flip it for their own narrative all the time. People, like the people I have in mind, I'm thinking of. I'm not saying everyone. I'm saying the people I'm thinking of right now.
Okay.
Like I don't know. Like you ever saw that Jackass Love, Life, and Anarchy?
No, I've heard of the that's a channel, yes? Yeah, I've seen the name floating around here and there, but I haven't gone to the channel.
I would argue about Tommy Sotomayor does the same crap of intersectionality in his own weird, like he flips his own weird like narrative in his videos.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for coming late to the party, guys.
That's okay, Vuk. How are you doing?
I haven't been doing too well. I'd rather not talk about it, but I mean, it's mostly medical related. I should have seen a doctor about it, but I've been trying to write it out.
Sorry to hear about that.
Yeah.
You still haven't been to the doctor?
Not yet. I've been trying to really. I've been trying to deal with it. I really don't want to like go there like that unless I absolutely know I have to. You know.
All right. Well, like I said earlier, I hope you feel better. But like now, AB, you were saying that what you've noticed is that the alt-righters have a tendency of taking, say, the terminology or the concepts of intersectionality and they flip it.
They take the concept of intersectionality and flip it to their own merit.
Okay, now I'm starting to get what you're saying. Okay, I get it now. I think I've seen them do that in a lot of different discussions and debates here and there, and in their own content. I know what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, that's true. I think that it can definitely happen that way. I mean, look, I guess it's more like, too much of we can't really afford to just be in the different, like I said, silos, or it's we at this point in time we just can't afford it. And I think that there's this but I do know that there's this fear, I think, when it comes to people of color, or I'm only going to speak of people of color, have a tendency to want to cling. They think that they're going to lose something. They're going to lose their history or the history of their struggle or whatever if they were to join. If you hear them talk about, well, why should I, what is this mass movement that needs to happen that I need to join when it doesn't even really exist right now? And two, what am I giving up to get something out of this? Which of course is the answer for me, speaking for myself though at this point, is that you wouldn't be giving anything up, because nothing gets rid of the history of what Black people have done struggle-wise, and nothing gets rid of the history of what women have been going through throughout all over the world. Nothing. So it's like you're not destroying whatever it is that you're trying to build or whatever you're trying to do in your own community if you try to build with others, because there's no way we're ever going to overthrow the ruling class and have a revolution if we're just still in our own little sectarian areas doing our own little thing. It's never going to happen.
The only thing I see is the only pragmatic and almost objective, not using the right wing term. When I use the word objective, I mean actual like science objective, not like Ayn Rand bullshit.
Of course, right. I know what you mean.
The only way I could ever see the class system in America say ever getting better is if the United States de-balkanizes into 6 different countries / regions.
Really? That's interesting. Yes. I never thought of that. So could you expound on that a little bit?
That was the CPUSA's mantra in the I think the 20s to the 1960s. They wanted the United States to become separate countries.
Yeah, they also wanted a separate segment for the Black population, a separate one for other ethnic groups like the Native American population, I believe. Yes. Right.
And I stand correctly, if I believe correctly, I think Bernie stands heavily into that theory for a very long time.
Wow.
I believe so. Yeah, they were. I think they only abandoned it because of the civil rights movement.
Yeah, exactly. That's why they got rid of it. They got rid of that theory because of the Dixieland South. The Dixieland Democrats were Republican.
Huh. Well, I have to look into that. I never knew about that.
I also like. I also feel like if California leaves, that will be like a major tipping point of like causing accelerationism. If they fucking do it, which I don't think they will.
I don't think it would be very good for us in California. I see some problems. Luke and I were watching a documentary, and we saw a little bit about what happens in San Francisco in those areas, in terms of fake housing bubbles, people working in places where they can't afford to live. And the push for separating California is from Silicon Valley.
It is.
Which is what scares me. Like, what is their plan?
True.
Is anybody going to be able to have a place to live?
Which is weird because like RT Russia Today's been picking up that narrative like California needs to fucking leave the United States.
Yeah, without realizing that.
Yeah.
What they're doing, it's just so wrong. They're allowing for fake housing bubbles to exist There are people that literally travel 6 hours to work, right? And that's crazy.
Well, I'm not really from California. I know nothing of the region at all. Like I'm like an idiot when it comes to like the.
I'm in California, but I didn't know about what was going on in the Silicon Valley area either, Palo Alto or whatnot. So, but when I heard who was behind the push after what I learned, I was like, well, what are they really going to do?
The main person behind is Elon Musk, which is surprising in itself.
Mm-hmm. What are their true plans? Is anybody going to be able to live? Are they just trying to make California a giant tech desert?
That's what my theory is.
Mm-hmm. It scares me. So people might have all of the things that come with our different identities.
Yeah.
People might have, equal rights, so to speak, in many ways, but at what cost? And the other thing is, they don't even pay equally. I remember there was a leak of Google's salary information by
in 2007, right?
Was it that long ago?
It was.
Well,
there were a few. There was the 2007 one, and there was the 2014 one.
Well, okay. Was the one that I saw was leaked by a black woman. They were looking at the trends of people being paid based on race and gender. And it was crazy. They really were they were off. People were being paid less based on race and based on gender, and the whistleblower was fired. She was just let go. So who knows what they really want to do?
Yeah, exactly.
Do they just really want to hire a bunch of people from overseas because it's beneficial for them to do that, and separating would make that easier?
That's a possibility, but I also think that in some cases it's driven by differences in the shifting differences in the population. I don't know too much about that because I haven't been to California, but at the same time, I also think that I think it's to some degree an overreaction to the election of Donald Trump. But there's always been this sentiment
They've been pushing
there.
for that for a while now, though.
There's always been that sentiment there, and it's important to remember, right? But it's also, I don't mean to interrupt you. I apologize. But it's always it's important to remember rather that California was actually declared a republic before it was admitted to the Union. You know, and it was under Mexican rule before that. So it is always important for us to remember that there's always been this kind of sentiment there, although I think it hadn't matured to the point that it now has. And I think there are factors involved.
So my question to you guys, what do you think it would take for there to be, for us to kind of get over some of these divisions and to build a mass movement? Now, Luke and I had kind of talked a little bit about that. What would be the starting point? What would be the starting point?
The American corn and wheat crop will have to die off horribly. That's my first. And the rate of inflation of like how job wage, like, you know how theoretically their wages are going up, but the value of the wages are going lower because of debt.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So with the combination of that plus the water shortages and the American and Canadian water sanctuaries and aquifers and dams going down, and plus the corn and the lack of water in the United States is one. The wage debt and the inflation of job wages is two, and then the last two steps, it will have to be the corn and beef crops. Not beef. The corn and wheat crops will have to like have a horrible famine.
In other words, things have to get really bad,
Yeah.
which is interesting because I've always held that belief as well. Which kind of like reminds me a little bit now, now I know AB who Jason, I never could pronounce his last name right.
Unruh?
Unruh. Yes.
Yes, sir. I can't
So,
stand that guy.
Well, okay. So Jason, and I don't like him either, but Jason Unruh, he says that that any kind of form of real mass revolution is not going to happen in any of our, like the first world nations. Is going to happen in the third world, and because
I very vehemently dispute that. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Faraj.
No. That's fine. You didn't interrupt, because of course he's saying that the working class here in the industrialized form,
they're not a working class.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. I mean, if we just look at what Marx said that what defines the proletariat is their inability to survive outside of selling their labor power. They have to sell their labor power to survive. That means they have to sell their energy, their work to survive.
Right. So basically what AB is saying is that, but so in other words, it kind of undermines basically what Jason was saying, because at some point the so-called first world worker is going to have to rebel, because things are not getting better for us. There's no way that things are getting better for us.
My theory is it's going to be worse, though, which is Jason already made a book about this, actually 2 books about this and 2 videos, that the revolutionary potential in the United States and Canada is not going to be left. It's going to be far right, and it's going to be like the right, that it's going to be like the Bundy brothers.
I disagree to a certain extent. It depends on whether or not the left in these countries can get their acts together. I've always said that the reason why the extreme right is advancing in North America is precisely because of our infighting and our inability to organize as a center.
Like, the problem is I have with Jason is that, like, I think he's a good guy, but he causes a lot of problems for people.
I think he's a good guy personally, but I think that ideologically speaking, he is what you would call unreliable.
No, I was gonna say, like, he causes, like, it's either like he wants people to be up to his, like, expectations of the left. And when you don't meet it, he kind of like shits on you.
Oh, right.
I've
heard that.
And he tends to vacillate between for being against a position, being for or against a position. And I find that to be pretty disgusting. I only do that if I see there are many factors involved, but that's not something I usually do.
Right. Wow. Well, you guys, this is some good shit. Those are some good points. AB, when you were politicized, like how old were you when you were politicized, and around what was it that did it?
I have a lot of relatives who are like old, like communists, and my European side of the family, and like my family in New York are like old, like they're involved in CPUSA and like the anarchist movements with Emma Goldman, shit like that.
Okay.
For me, it was. I think for me, I was like, I think I said this before, but I mean, it bears repeating given the context in which you defined it. But basically speaking, I was politicized as a Black nationalist, really. Although I didn't express it verbally, I was politicized as that. It just tended to shift towards something more anarchistic towards like the early 2000s. Then after a while, like in the mid 2000s, I became a Marxist. And now I feel like I haven't abandoned certain tenets of Marx, but I feel like the approach is not well articulated because of the first thing to change the conditions that there's that, and it's also because
I feel like he came too early to the party, meaning that he emerged when capitalism was just beginning its real development. So he had a lot of idealism about certain aspects of democracy, of the republic, and so on. I don't have that. So I could say that I'm in between Marxism and post-Marxism, but it's still within that socialist revolutionary tradition.
Which is where I came in originally from. Like, I was an 9/11 truth seeker for a long time, and I started out with I always hated Alex Jones. I was more into way more of a follower of Jesse Ventura, because I thought him to be like more left, like speaking than Alex Jones is.
I understand where you're coming from with that. And in some cases, you can say that to some degree, you can say it was an inside job, but it really wasn't in another sense, because the people who did it, they were terrorists. But the people who did it were sponsored by the United States to overthrow the legitimate Afghan government. And because they ceased to have a use, they turned to Islamic extremism. You know? So it's our own fault that we got attacked in a sense. And that's why I would say, again, in a sense, it is an inside job, but it's not an inside job in the way people usually think about it.
I'm no longer a 9/11 truther. I'm saying I was in the past for like many years.
I got you. Yeah, I got what you're saying. Yeah. Curious,
Yes.
what politicized you? Well, how did you become politicized? I never asked you that question.
Wow, I never even knew I was politicized. This is news to me.
Well, come on. There you are.
Okay,
Stop playing.
so I grew up with a grandfather who was, I think that now I can definitely consider him on the left, because he was always telling me stories about what the US was doing, you know, in terms of relations with other countries, poor countries, stealing, things like that, right? And then he was talking about the justice system, and if he wasn't talking about that, it would be, what else? He was a supporter of gay marriage. He didn't care, and he was a very quiet man. And then, on the other hand, my stepdad, which I didn't realize it till now, he would always share these vague conspiracy theories. He's like, they're all bad, the government is all horrible, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, Jesus is coming back soon. That's how he was, right? So
Right.
then on the other end, he wasn't necessarily supportive of Republicans, right? But I realize now that he's just been reading a lot of radical Christian conspiracy theories. I can't even call it. It's the radical right.
No,
And
there's like there's a difference between the two.
well, yeah, I don't know if he's doing both. I really don't know. So because I stopped with angry, right?
Okay.
So I stopped. And then for me, let me think. I always knew that I didn't know what feminism was. But now I realize that I really was a feminist and always been a feminist. Really have. But I just didn't have a name for it until a few years ago. And then what happened was I got into these pro-black circles. I listened to Sergeant Willie Pete. I'm listening to this guy, and he's like, he's saying he's about to do something. You know, it was news to me. I didn't realize how much trouble Black America was in, right? So I'm listening. I'm like, oh gosh, this guy is preparing to start a bank. Is what, like, I had no idea what he was going to do, but he talked about what was needed in our community. Sorry, I had to sneeze. And what it sounded like was now I can recognize that he was advocating for patriarchy. And I was like, really? And then one day he had a certain type of video up, and I was like, okay, that's just crazy, right? That's just nuts. He was saying,
what video was it?
huh?
Well, what video was it?
He was talking about Ray Rice, and he was saying, why does Ray Rice have to lose his job? Now he can't support his family. I was like, you know what? That sounds like a crock of BS to me.
Who's Ray Rice?
You don't remember Ray Rice?
You're gonna have to remind.
I remember Ray Rice. He was a player in the NFL,
Ooh.
but after he came out, yeah, if I remember correctly, he was a player in the NFL. I think he got suspended. I don't know what happened to him exactly, but
yeah, for
he got
beating his
suspended.
wife. He
His
was
wife.
the guy who was beating his
Right.
wife in the elevator.
Oh,
Is
no.
that the one with the elevator?
Yes.
You
And
don't,
then he
I
was like,
remember
she was on some, she hit him first. But I was like, I don't want to live under that.
wait, isn't he also accused of like shooting his friend at one point with a gun?
No, I don't think Ray Rice was accused of that. No.
No, I'm not talking about the guy in the car. I'm talking about there was someone on the team. It was someone. Ray Rice was accused in some like weird like accidental misfire case that got dropped.
I don't remember that. I just remember seeing that video of him in that
I
elevator.
remember now. I remember definitely the elevator beating. Yeah, I don't know anything about the
And
accidental shooting, but I remember.
it made me angry.
Yeah.
It made me angry to hear the different
Yeah.
excuses.
As I remember, happened like 6 years before this.
Okay.
Hmm.
So, in other words, you're hearing Sergeant Willie Pete saying that after all of this talk of
Bill,
being after all this evidence of him showing that he beat his girlfriend or wife or whoever she was, that only thing that Sergeant Willie Pete had to say was, how is this guy going to make money? In other words, let us not talk about the violence against women or the fact that the whole system was basically, I wouldn't say supporting him, but the system basically just gave him a slap on the wrist by simply saying, you're just fired, or you're just.
it was more important to get paid.
The guy's like millions anyway from like playing for how many seasons?
I'm not up on sports like that. I'm only up on American football. But no, wait, Ray Rice was a football player, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a football player. I think he still
I
is.
should have known that.
And people feel so. I was like, why are people so sympathetic to these men, right? And I didn't understand it. And then I learned about the circles of Black women that people call them feminists. They're not feminists. They're kind of like,
they're not feminists. I know who you're talking about.
you know, those kind. And it wasn't for me. I was looking at it and I was like, I don't have these same feelings, right? I feel like there's more going on here.
Garage, I asked you something.
Go ahead.
I don't know. I don't want to sound like a prick by saying this, but what's your opinion on Ghazi?
Who's that?
I think I know who who AB is asking about. Some dude. He's a skinny African American gentleman. I think he's gay.
You identify as the same gender loving because apparently the term gay is too white for him.
This guy, I think he calls himself the Black Nazi. Does he call himself the Black Nazi or some nonsense?
He calls him Black Hitler.
Yeah, huh? Yeah, fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. I couldn't. I know what you're asking me, AB, and the short answer is I don't give a shit about that guy. I don't think about him. I don't think he's cool. I don't think he's funny.
That's not what I'm asking.
Huh? Okay, so what did I think about him? I think that's what you're asking, right?
No, I'm having trouble right now because I need to take my meds and shit. But like, I was mainly asking like I feel like he hurts the socialist movement all the way around, no matter what race you are. Like
who is this person?
You think that he? Wait, you think he hurts the socialist movement?
Yeah, like the shit he's he's not like, I'm not like trying to be like a dick or anything. I'm just saying he's done some very unethical things when it comes to like videos and like articles and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And I just feel overall, I feel like he hurts the like left movement on a whole.
But he's not on the left. He's not. Not that
But
I.
people
That not that I'm.
associate being black or being gay with being
No, he
black.
identifies as a communist.
Oh God. Well. Yeah. Well, I mean, he hurts. Well, okay then. So then, if that's the case, if that's what you're asking, then I can only say that. Yeah, I think that he. That. Well, first of all, we all know that that's not a claim that he can make.
Yeah.
Based on, like, again, I've only seen a snippet of videos here and there. They're the dumbest thing in the world.
What are you talking about again? I'm sorry, I wasn't.
They're talking about they're talking about that guy Ghazi, the one who calls himself the Black Nazi, and I did. It's news to me.
Oh, he calls himself a communist. What the?
Yeah, that's even weirder to me because it's news to me.
That doesn't make sense. He must be a parody. Perhaps he's a mole sent here from the right.
Well,
I don't know.
I would only say this because I'm not in conspiracies, but I will say this, that as AB was basically trying to get at was, do I think that he's harmful to the to communism or socialism in any way because of who he is? I would have to say that, well, yes and no. Yes, and that if anybody takes him seriously,
yeah, he is.
Then yes, but
nobody.
If
really
anyone
does.
who knows anything about socialism or communism, then they would know that he's just an idiot and he's just trying to get attention. He's a spectacle.
Yeah, but the guy has like 1 million subs. That's why I brought it up.
Okay.
All right, that's a real problem. All right. I mean,
that sounds very liberal. He doesn't really sound
like a Nazi. So you mean national? You mean national socialist? You mean like? No, I know what you mean by Nazi, but the way he tries to describe it, because they like to play that little word game.
I don't even think Ghazi knows what he's talking about.
No.
But I think the point here that AB is trying to make, and I'm understanding what he's saying, is that with the popularization that he has and the amount of subs that he has, do I think that he's causing harm? Yeah, of course. I mean, but then again, he's causing harm to anything and everything that he claims in this case. I mean, he's causing harm to queer people of color. He's causing harm to the Black community. I mean, he's not representing Black people. I mean, he's spectacle. But ultimately, the only thing I could say is that, you know, he's spectacle. I don't know what else to do or say about him. I mean, I think that he causes just about as much harm as Tommy Sotomayor. And what is there to do about these guys? I mean, other than try to flag them when you can, to try to doxing doesn't seem to make them go away. Like, the only thing you could do is just to slug on by doing your own content and trying to counter the bullshit that these people say.
Well, I've been doing the like YouTube kind of like counteracting right-wing culture for like 10 years now, and it's like I love it. I find it's hysterical to like the shit that they react, like the reactions and stuff like that. That's the main reason I do it.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. All right. Well, I got. Oh, go ahead. I'm just letting you guys know, just for timekeeping, that we've got 2 minutes because I really do have, like I said, I have to leave at 11.
Okay.
Sure. But this has been a really great discussion. So go ahead, Curious. You were about to say something?
Yes, I was. You know, do you think that people like Tommy and this person, this individual in question, they're really highlighting that? I think that they highlight patriarchy, and I think that they also they show that regardless of your race, you can be somebody that is in support of certain beliefs. I think that there are a lot of people who are Black and on the right, and they've gone unacknowledged, and I think they need to go where they need to go. I really do. I think that they need to just stick with who they want to stick with, if that's what their beliefs are.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's almost helpful to have black right publicized, because there are people that are so not on the side of the left, but because they're black, because they're female, people are saying, oh, they're on the left, they're liberal, they're, you know, this, that, and the other, and they're so not. You know, I just think that it's not helpful.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I don't really have any closing words to say, but I've thought this conversation was good compared to other hangouts I've been in, compared to like the last year and a half.
Wow. Thank you so much. And you're welcome anytime. And I want to thank Vuk as well and Curious. Yeah, this was really awesome. This is a great first episode for this channel. And I think that we set out to talk exactly about what we wanted to talk about. And then it went explorative, which is exactly what I like. Nothing has to go on, on script. And this is a really good conversation. I'm going to look up the so-called Ghazi, the Black Nazi, for some brain candy, for brain candy purposes later on, probably tomorrow, because I need to get to bed. But thank you, everybody. Thank you, AB. Thank you. And I will be announcing next week's episode, hopefully by Saturday or Sunday. All right? Thank you, everybody.
Good night.
Good night. This is a great conversation. Good night.
Thank you.